Our first talk in a long time is going to be about the right way and the wrong way to start a business or a side gig to make money uh, when you have a job and you're making a small amount of salary. Most people, or many people, at least the kind who watch my videos, say to themselves, "Gee, I'd like to make some money on the side and maybe eventually start my own small business." Well, today I'm going to talk about the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. Now, the first wrong way is to be watching ads for how to make money and stay away from anything where you have to send in a lot of money to start, or not a lot even, any money to start a business, because those kind of businesses make money for the guy who's advertising them, but won't make money for you. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of people I know who did things the wrong way. Well, one chap answered an ad that said you can make a heck of a lot of money by selling our marbleized plastic that looks like marble sinks, bathtubs, bathroom counters, sink counters, that sort of thing. So the guy was attracted by the ad. Of course, it said you could make a lot of money selling our product. And it turns out that the product is kind of a bags of something that looks like cement, but it's kind of a plastic. And you mix that with their liquid and you put it in their molds, and you get looks like kind of nice countertops or sinks or whatever you want it to be. It isn't a bad looking product. But the problem is, I'm going to always talk in US dollars, so it doesn't matter what your currency is. If your currency is euros, just pretend I'm saying euros. And if your country is Philippines, multiply by 50 and you'll get an approximation. So the chap selling this new business idea, he wanted $5,000 for a bunch of materials, molds, enough to make $50,000 worth of product. And this chap, who knew nothing about business but had a regular job, says, "Okay, I will buy this." And he bought all these plastic things and made a few samples at home. He showed them to me. They looked pretty nice. And then he waited for the orders to come in, as if by magic the whole world is going to order his plastic product. He didn't advertise. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to make it happen. No marketing. And of course, 5 years later, he had $5,000 worth of materials to make plastic stuff in his basement, and he hadn't made a dime. Okay? Now, even if he had advertised, the odds are he would have never made his costs back. And when you get into a marketing scheme like Amway, it's usually the same way. You buy a lot of product, you're promised that you could make a lot of money, and you end up with a whole basement, attic, or garage full of product. Another fella had a much smaller investment. It was the plastification of diplomas and important documents. This was about $400 or $500 worth of equipment to make plastic plaques. And he bought it, and the outfit selling it showed him, we're going to do the marketing for you. We're going to show you how to market. You're going to read the paper, and we have a form letter that says you send all the graduates of a class this form letter. We will plastificate your diploma for only $15. And he said, if you sell a few hundred of these uh, products, our plastification, you'll be way ahead and you'll have your own business that'll support you in magnificent style. Well, same old story. The guy sent, you know, a few thousand letters out to a few thousand graduates, and he got 2 or 3 orders. 2 or 3, not he made $40 or $50, but he was out a lot of time, and all he got back for it was you know, a lot of supplies to make plastic plaques. All right. Now, the next thing that goes wrong is supposing you have a product or a service and you think, hey, I can sell this and make a lot of money. There's an old saying, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. Wrong. If you build a better anything, the world won't beat a path to your door unless your marketing is pretty good. And in that case, you can have a not so good mousetrap, not as good as the other ones on the market, but if you do a good job of advertising and marketing to a good target audience, you'll make money. But when most people who've never been in business start a business, here is the mistake they make. Well, first of all, I have to get a license from the government. Wow. Jesus. What a mistake. Then I have to get stationery. And I have to get a good website designer to design me a website. And maybe I have to rent an office. And da. Hey, guess what? There's only one important thing when you're going to start a new business. And that's paying customers. Long before you do anything else. It's even more important than the product or service that you have. Sure, you need a product or service. You have to have something that you're selling that is just as good as, hopefully as good as whatever else is out there, maybe better even. But you have to test it out on somehow get some customers. And when you have some customers that will pay for your first investment, then you do it. And forget about licenses and office space and stationery and and hiring a lawyer and hiring an accountant. That all comes later once you have some sales going for you. So let me give you an example of, in case you don't know it, I used to give courses in starting your own business and getting rich. And getting rich is never getting rich quick. It's always putting in a lot of effort and knowing what you're doing. And here is one of my success stories. Okay, a guy came to me and we discussed many possibilities for him to make some money. And one of the possibilities was going to Puerto Rico and starting a business there, consulting, because Puerto Rico has a very interesting deal. Basically, if you're a high taxpayer in the USA, you can go to Puerto Rico, and if it's a sort of a movable business, you can do it from Puerto Rico, and guess what? Your tax is almost nothing, maybe 1%, not 50%. Like if you have a business in California, you pay a federal tax of maybe 30%, you pay a state tax of over 10%, you may pay another local tax. By the time you're done, you're paying 50% of whatever you make. Go to Puerto Rico and you keep 99%. All right, so this chap went to Puerto Rico and decided he would sniff around what kind of business he could do. And it turns out that when you get to Puerto Rico, you just don't say, hey, I'm here in Puerto Rico, I don't pay any tax. No, there's all kinds of paper to file and all kinds of offices to run around before you get clearance and freedom, if you're a U.S. citizen, freedom from the U.S. tax system. You can get it, but it ain't easy. So this fella, on my advice, did all the paperwork for himself. And it took him about 2 or 3 weeks of running around and making quite a few mistakes. But once he'd done it for himself, guess what? He could do it for other people in 2 or 3 days and not make mistakes. So he began with his website to offer, hey, move, if you have a good business in the USA, you can move to Puerto Rico. You can possibly get a passport from Puerto Rico, which is a USA passport, but you're no longer in the USA tax system. You're in the Puerto Rico very low tax system. So he figured out by advertising to get new people to come to Puerto Rico. Maybe they intended to come already, but for $10,000, he would do all the paperwork. Now, if you're a multimillionaire in a big business, 10,000 is peanuts. So one of the things I always teach my students is don't go after the nickel and dime poor people, go after wealthy clients. So $10,000 for them to avoid 3 weeks of horsing around with different bureaucrats and standing in line and waiting and then being told, yo, you filed the wrong paper, do it again. No, he, for $10,000, does all the work. And then something amazing happened that neither of us expected. Some of the people who started to use his service said, hey, why don't you take a little bit of my stock or a little bit of an interest in my company? You seem to know what you're doing. You will then help me and help me market things. And guess what? In a few years, the guy has plenty of real estate. He has interest in several companies, and he is technically a millionaire. And that's pretty good. That's how to do a business. I think today he still has no stationery. He has no government license, although I think he's going to be getting one soon. And that's the way to do a business. So I think we can leave it at that and close for today. But that's my advice on how to start a new business. Oh, and I'll add one other thing. You should be the one who controls things. This chap I've just mentioned, he sends out the marketing. He chooses what customers he wants. If they're guys who complain all the time and give him a hard time, he doesn't want them. Who needs aggravation? So if you're just going to speculate in Forex or stocks or Bitcoin or anything, and you don't control it, I'm guessing, it's like going to a casino and betting on a roulette table. If you don't control it, the odds are, in fact, people have stated, and researchers have found out, that over a 5-year period, anybody who starts to trade Forex, 99% end up losing money, not making it. So if you're going to go into a business that you control. If you have a little hamburger stand on the corner and there's a lot of traffic going by, you have the potential to make money. But if nobody's buying your hamburgers, you got to do something. You got to fry some garlic or some onions, make it smell good. You have a fan blowing out. That was the secret of a guy selling cookies in the mall. At first his name was, what was his name? Sam? Anyway, it was a funny name like Cookies by Sam. But he wasn't selling any cookies. He got a plain ordinary electric fan, and then he wafted the cookie odor into the shopping mall, and guess what? People began to buy his cookies. Why? He controlled things. If things aren't working out and you control, you can do something to build up your business. If you're just buying dollars in the expectation that dollars will go up versus your currency, well, it's anybody's guess. And government action or a war or an earthquake, something you can't control at all is going to maybe affect your your business and even kill it. So that's my message for today. And if you like that, the next thing we're going to talk about is when your company makes a mistake and doesn't value you properly, what do you do next? So long. See you in the next video.